My name is Ilya, and I'm a technical co-founder of the product in a company that's called Stella Foster. What we're doing is really just building the easiest way for seniors to use artificial intelligence. And if you are asking yourself, why would they want to use that? Looking at yourself using ChatGPT, right, for work, for example, you're like, well, seniors might not actually do work. I couldn't disagree with you more because what we've been doing for the past 2 months with my co-founder, we were running these courses for specifically seniors at the senior care facilities to teach them how to use AI for their life. And what these senior care facilities have seen is that they are getting the biggest turnarounds of elderly people coming in and trying to learn how to use this technology. They've heard of it maybe 1 or 2 times, but they've seen it all around the news. They're not quite sure what this is. They know this is something big. Their children are talking about it as well. And they're really trying to find the ways they can use ChatGPT. They're talking about Claude and Gemini models. So they come up to us after all these classes and really trying to clarify how can they generate images for their gifts and postcards for their children. So it's pretty fascinating to learn from them on how they want to use AI. However, for a lot of seniors, it's not that accessible. The small devices are not the best interface to use AI. And for their laptops or computers, they're kind of tied to a place. And what we've been trying to do at Stella Foster, and where's that? I don't know, there's one more slide there. Okay, there you go. I should have put a phone number. Michelle is going to tell me that. Okay, well, what we've done is we've basically created a phone number for the seniors to just call in from their phone number. And that's all they need to do to start talking to the AI. And they can ask it to remind themselves about defrosting their chicken on Thursday night before their children come on Friday, or remembering their Netflix passwords. So we've seen all these pretty interesting use cases for how people are using it. But I think today what I want to focus on is to tell you 3 different stories. And the first one is really about my friend and his dad specifically, who unfortunately he passed away last year. And we do deal a lot with that when we work with seniors. But fortunately, he lived a very long life. And he's been an iron engineer working in the construction all of his life for 42 years. He's been building the skyscrapers in Chicago and Michigan and all around the east of the US. He's been an independent man for all of his life until he retired, and into his 70s, he started getting an onset of Parkinson's. And what that meant is that his motor skills were really fading out. Usually you also start to lose your sight, and that means that you kind of lose a lot of your independence. So you can't really drive the car anymore, you rely on taxi or Ubers. Fortunately, we have those services now, but then again, it's very hard for them to order an Uber. Interact with an app is pretty hard. And so what we're trying to build with Stella Foster is, again, the easiest way for the seniors to use technology and AI specifically. They can call in and they can simply ask for the ride. They can ask to order some food for them, and it's going to be delivered to their house. But with the next 5 to 7 years, I think what we're also looking at are robots. And we already see a lot of robots outside of our houses. We see Waymos and those small Coco food delivery robots that are driving and zooming around the streets. But I think over time, we will be seeing more and more robots coming in our houses. We kind of have some small little examples of that as vacuum cleaners. They don't quite listen to you. That's the hope, at least right now. But you should be able to communicate with them and tell them oh, you've missed that corner, or the dog just ran through and
actually do this.
You can? Yeah. Wonderful. Can you send me the detail? Oh, yeah, right. Don't get me started on the Chinese. What they're doing with their ports, and it's fascinating. Their AI and robotics are on the next level, I think. But in general, what I think is going to be coming here is a lot of humanoid robots, and it's task-specific robots as well for the houses. And again, in the senior care kind of experience that we're looking at really a lot of support and independence through the things and tasks that you used to do alone, and now you need the support of a loved one or a professional caregiver And that sometimes takes away from your dignity as well. And so what I think these humanoid robots are actually going to allow is for us to not just live long or longer, but they're also going to allow us to live a higher quality life through those years of the end of life. And fortunately, as a company, we are actually going to get to the point where we are able to provide a lot of services, such as finding a last mile service for a senior who needs some help at their house, and they're just through the voice they're able to interact with their ambient voice at the house and request that help, and maybe the caregiver or some particular humanoid experience is coming out of their closet and kind of helping them out with, putting their groceries in the fridge or preparing a meal for them. They would know all of their specific nutrition requests and dietary suggestions, whether they took the medications, how long has it been since then. All of that is nearly here, if not already, in some of the houses in the US right now. Unfortunately, that costs a lot right now. So if you look at how much the full-time caregiver, like a human one, costs in the Los Angeles, it can run up to $6,000 a month to have a full-time support, which is outside of the bounds of actually achievable for a lot of families who have kids and are kind of like in this sandwich generation where you have a child and then you have an older parent who also needs support. And hopefully with AI and a lot of technologies, we will be able to make that cost go much, much lower to hundreds of dollars per month. Moreover, I don't know if you know, like how many seniors, how many people turn 65 years old every single day in the United States? Who thinks it's about 2,000 people a day who turn 65? Who thinks it's more? Raise your hand. Okay. Who thinks it's more than 5,000? More than 10,000? That's right. It's actually about 11,500 people who turn 65 every single day. 11,000 people. Every single day for a whole year. And what's unbelievable with this is that we're going to live much longer. We're going to probably live until like 120, maybe even longer. And the problem with that is that a lot of younger caregivers, they're not just available in the market to take care of you. And again, with a lot of technology, with a lot of AI, we will be able to provide that support. We will be able to provide those tools to ourselves in the future, right? And I just get very passionate about all of this, and I can't talk for much longer. But I hope that showcases a lot of opportunities going into the future, because if you think about it, what happens in a world where the mobile phones are not your primary interface to other things that you interact with anymore? How will your business change if now the voice is the primary interface? Whether it's in your glasses, like what Meta is building right now with the speakers and the microphones in the glasses, or if it's already in the houses, or like we have a CarPlay right now, right? When you're in a car, imagine yourself very easily just talking to Stella Foster, or like maybe a lot of you speak to ChatGPT already on the drive to work and kind of like plan your day. So I think it's very interesting how the businesses are going to change, and the commerce part of that is going to change. Like what's the business model in that future? So it's pretty unclear, but it's also very exciting. And I think just to highlight a few risks that could happen for us not to get to that future that I like to think about. First of all, there's geopolitics and access to the materials that are required for the robotics and humanoids and AI specifically. And then the second one, of course, it's consideration about the safety of it, right? What kind of safety measures are we going to be putting into these systems to make sure they're not used for fraud or scam, right? If it's a voice-enabled system and somebody hacks it or gets access to your house and now they know all of your kind of actions you take every day, what can they do with that information? Actually, we had an interesting story. We spoke to this lady, and she told us it's so unfortunate because her grandma, she got defrauded for $6 million by people who they observed her for some period of time, and she had dementia, and they would know when her dementia onset would come during the day, and they would target those hours when she would completely forget who she spoke to, what happened. And they would call her, they would try to get her information, they would lead her to the bank and ask her to sign the papers because she would think they're her children. And they would get all of her money out of the accounts. Again, if we were to have robotics or voice-enabled systems or a simple like Stella Foster service as it is today that just calls them on a regular basis, she could be able to simply describe where she is. What is she doing? What does she see around herself? Even though she doesn't comprehend or maybe remember that, even just those check-ins regularly around the day when the family is aware that those instances are happening could have prevented that. Not even talking about, again, the robotics, right? When they're in the house and they're observing what is happening and they're seeing that somebody is unauthorized accessing the house of the senior. So that's what we are building on Stella Foster. Those are just very, very little scope of the problems and ideas that we are considering and thinking about every single day. And I'm more than happy to talk more about that after the event in the networking and talk more about AI with everyone right now.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Thanks,